What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. Excuse me, PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I'll put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled A Solution for Fixing Dysfunction. I was on the panel last night, and the solution I gave was look at your family history. Because a lot of times we have dysfunction, in our families. And we learn, they talk about generational curses, but we learn the dysfunction from all of our family members. But we don't necessarily know their stories, but we take on their dysfunctions because the way they interact with us and raise us, a lot of times they're raising you and influencing you to not necessarily make the mistakes that they made or go through the things that they went through. But you don't necessarily know the reason. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes the reason can make sense, and sometimes the reason it doesn't make sense, right? So what happens is you wind up going out into the world with a dysfunction that's not really yours, and what winds up happening with that is you're on autopilot trying to rectify a dysfunction that was given to you by another family member who is looking for you to rectify it for them. You get what I'm saying? So you're taking on their fight. And this is why I say, sometimes it's best to look at your family and your family history to see what everybody was going through and piece it together. Because when you're a child, they're not going to tell you. When you're a child, it's not, you as a child can't really comprehend it. But unfortunately, when you're a child, they're influencing you because of it. Like some people had issues with wanting to, with feeling unprotected, and they turned into bullies. Thus, they raised you to be more bully. Some people felt like they were too dependent on people, so they wanted to raise you to be independent. But it's not really your thing, though. They want you to approach the world the way they feel like they should have approached the world in hindsight. Unfortunately, your life experiences will not probably mirror each other, so the way you take it won't necessarily work. Now, the other thing about that is there's certain family members you're going to like, and there's certain family members that you're not going to like. And sometimes you might like a family member who's dysfunctional, and you like them so much, you actually bathe in their dysfunction, and it might be fun for you as a kid, but you wind up growing into an adult with some bad habits, and the bad habits because you like this family member. And the same thing can be opposite. You might not like a person in your family, and that dysfunction is going to be problematic because you're not going to like them, but the reason that you don't like them, it may be just a feeling. You know what I'm saying? So you might approach people like them with a different energy. And what I mean by that is the family members that's dysfunctional that you like, you might wind up hanging out with people like that. And the family members that are not dysfunctional that you don't like, you might wind up getting into it with people like that. So the solution is to know your family history. Know which side of the family you're on. You got a family that's progressive and you got a family that's regressive. Know which side your immediate family lands in. Because if you land in the progressive side, there's a story that comes where, in our community where the family split. Where, that's why, when you go to a family reunion, it's important to know all your family's histories and who got along, who didn't get along, what they dealt with, what they didn't deal with, because sometimes this is what parents wind up doing. I want you to have a better life than I had. And they're parenting you as a way to fix their past, but they're basically giving you their insecurities and their drama, whether consciously or subconsciously, right? So now you got to fix it, but you can never really fix it because the things that were given to you, you really don't know the root cause. And this is why I say know your family history, because when you learn your family history, you learn the root cause. You learn, okay, these things happen to this person, thus it morphed into this situation, thus, my parents had to deal with this situation, thus this is why they taught me this. Now this is not working for me because I'm not dealing in this situation, but this is how I've been interacting with the world, and this is how I've been, this is why I've been hitting a brick wall in certain things. Because sometimes you're not necessarily dysfunctional, you're just on autopilot because somebody programmed you to be prepared for something that you had nothing to do with or deal with in the first place. The other thing is this. You also got to take into consideration how you interact with the world. Because a lot of times everybody has a story, and their story is what the world did to them, but your story isn't what you're doing to people in the world. And what winds up happening is you bring your dysfunction to other people in the world, and they see you a certain way because of the things you do, but you see yourself as a victim because of the things that were done to you. And like I say all the time, we all got issues, but you try to minimize bringing your issues to new people. You know what I mean? But if you can't minimize bringing your issues to new people, and you just bring issues everywhere you go, you're more committed to your issues than you're committed to self-improvement. So it's a problem. And some of this stuff that we were talking about last night on the panel, it made me think that some of the ways we interact with each other in our community, whether it's just be man to man, woman to woman, man to woman, people have a script in their head that either they gave themselves or somebody gave them. So now they're going out into the community with this script and they living it out. But this narrative, they're the only one that know it's there. So now you got multiple people with multiple scripts doing multiple things, and the movie's not playing out the way they thought it was, and now something's wrong, but you don't know the whole story. When you listen to, when you read books, look at stories, movies, television shows, when they have a generational thing going on, grandparents, parents, children, whatever, usually you wind up hearing a story somewhere along the lines that somebody in the past dealt with the very same thing. And you don't take it into consideration, this person dealt with the very same thing, and they raised you dealing with this. So you're dealing with this because they dealt with it. But you were actually, they made you an accomplice into their pain, and they couldn't separate the two. And that happens sometimes, but what we come to find out is you got to separate the two. Because, if you don't know if you're giving people, your parents or grandparents, pain or your own pain. You don't know if you're giving people, your parents or grandparents, a dysfunction or your own dysfunction. And until you learn the whole story of the story of your family, you're not going to know where everybody came from. That's why we got all these different personalities and different stories. I got people who accomplished great things in spite of things, and I've got people who basically got 30 years for stealing a Snicker bar, and I'm not bullshitting about that in my family. And you got to understand the family interacts with other people different because of all of these stories combined. So I don't want you to do this because I don't want you to wind up like this person, or I don't want you to do this because I don't want you to wind up like me, and I don't want you to do this because I don't want you to have this type of situation. And it's always a fear-based guidance. And when you got a fear-based guidance, there's nothing really positive in that. And that's why, a lot of times people don't know why they're doing the things they're doing. Because when you ask them straight up, why you did that? And I don't know. And you have adults who still don't know, And they think they get it from their parents because it's their parents, but their parents got it from their parents. And, so on and so forth. And somebody tried to break the cycle, but that's why I said figure out both sides of the family, or the sides, which side you're on, a progressive or regressive side, because somebody broke the cycle in there. You got to find out who it is and why and what happened, and then a lot of times you find your answers. I'm done with this one. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.